Whether you're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or just winding down, we are here to spill the hottest tea from your favorite Bravo shows. From the wildest reunions to the quietest social media unfollows, we cover it all. So welcome back to Reality TV Podcasting Clips. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it on 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so that sets the stage. But today, we are really pivoting. We're doing our deep dive.
A very deep dive. We have a massive stack of developments from basically all the major franchises.
And we're looking for those key moments, those, little insights that really explain what is happening in the reality TV world right now.
Yeah, and our sources are all over the place. We're talking about an unbelievable family ceasefire in New Jersey.
And a huge $11 million lawsuit in Miami that just vanished.
Exactly. And then there's this really tricky business of stars trying to manage their own digital brands, their own income, while the network is, watching every single move. So our mission today is simple. We're going to analyze these moves. We're going to unpack the strategy behind them and really connect the dots for you so you walk away actually knowing what's going on.
I think it's a critical moment for the whole genre, really, because what we're seeing in all this source material is this one constant tension.
Right.
It's the friction between what the audience wants to see, which is, total unfiltered access.
Everything. They want
everything. And what the cast members are actually choosing to keep private.
And that's getting more and more important for them.
It is, especially now that their fame can lead to, major legal trouble or these, incredibly lucrative businesses they have on the side online.
It's a high-wire act. It's a public balancing act happening in real time, and every single decision feels like it's been calculated.
Very calculated.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start where the drama, has been reigning supreme for over a decade now. New Jersey. If you had told any longtime viewer that this was going to happen, they would have said you were making it up. We have to open with this holiday photo op that just completely shook the Bravo world.
For anyone who's been following The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and, who hasn't?
Right.
The feud between Teresa Giudice and her brother Joe Gorga and his wife Melissa, that has been the main story engine for years. For years.
It has defined the franchise. We've seen it go from petty fights to these all-out wars.
And finally, to just complete, total estrangement. They weren't talking at all, especially around holidays, big family moments.
We've seen them miss weddings. We've seen them exchange insults on every platform imaginable. There was just no sign of a reconciliation.
None. And that's why this one event is such a big deal. The sources confirm that Teresa and her husband, Luis Ruelas, spent Christmas Eve at the Gorgas' home.
Which is, just stop and think about it.
You have to. When you consider the deep structural problems there, the accusations of betrayal, the legal drama, her not going to the wedding.
Right. The wedding was the point of no return.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a simple visit. It's a diplomatic summit.
It really is. And it wasn't a quiet thing either. The evidence shows that Teresa very deliberately posted a slideshow of photos on her Instagram. This wasn't some private moment that just accidentally leaked out. This was a calculated public display of unity. It was designed for everyone to see immediately.
And the photos were very specific. You had Teresa posing separately with Melissa and then with Joe.
Yep.
And then the key one, the group shot, with her and Luis sitting right there next to the Gorgas at their home bar.
It's a signal. They're presenting a unified front to the world, no matter how fragile or, temporary it might be.
That post, the intention behind that post is worth really analyzing.
Oh, for sure.
After years of defining their personal brands by this hatred for each other, this move signals a pivot. It's a change in their narrative strategy.
They're acknowledging that while conflict sells, non-stop, brutal conflict eventually just wears out the audience. And maybe more importantly, it stops the show from moving forward.
It creates stagnation. It suggests that someone, maybe the network, maybe the family itself, just decided that the only way to move forward for the franchise, or just for their own sanity, was to signal some kind of ceasefire.
And what's so fascinating is how quickly the whole reality TV machine reacted to that signal.
Instantly. The sources captured this immediate flood of reactions. And it wasn't just, random fan accounts.
No, it was co-stars. It was other big names from across the Bravo universe all weighing in.
It felt like this collective nod, acknowledging how serious this moment was. You had Gia Giudice, Alexia Napola, Chanela Anicanya, Dolores Catania, all posting red heart emojis.
Which is basically the universal seal of approval in that world.
It is. It's the Bravo community recognizing and, validating this truce.
And the comments from the really high-profile people, they just highlighted how impossible this all seemed. You had Ashley Holmes calling it amazing, Heather Dubrow wrote, incredible. But the one comment that I think really nailed the feeling for the audience was from Gary Janetti.
Yes.
He joked, "Teresa, eating your sprinkle cookie is the Christmas miracle I needed, Melissa."
And that joke is perfect because it captures the absurdity of their history. The idea of them just sharing a holiday treat felt completely impossible, like a week before that photo.
It really did. So you've hit on the core of it, right? This moment is professional currency for them.
Absolutely.
One single photo instantly changed all the expectations for an entire franchise. It suggests that even with years of what seems like real bad blood, they recognize the value of this.
The value, both in terms of a fresh story and, frankly, their continued employment, exactly, of maintaining this public perception of family unity, even if that unity is, totally staged for the cameras and for social media.
It breaks the cycle. It gets them out of the corner they had painted themselves into with that feud.
It does, and it immediately raises a whole new set of questions.
Like, who's going to drive the conflict now?
Right. If the Gorgas and Giudices are trying to have a truce, who steps into that villain role to guarantee the drama that season 15 needs?
And that brings us directly to Margaret Josephs.
It does. Because her stance against any kind of reconciliation with Teresa is absolutely rigid. It's a perfect contrast to this family truce.
Margaret's position, which she laid out in a prior interview, is like a masterclass in strategic boundary setting.
It is. When she was asked who she wanted to declutter from her life, her answer about Teresa was it was uncompromising. It revealed a very clear long-term strategy for her role in the cast.
She said specifically, "The Teresas of the world are not for me." She framed it not just as like a personal fight, but as this deep philosophical incompatibility. She thinks they just can't stomach each other.
And she said they have decluttered each other. Her conclusion was that the feud has just gone too far, there's no coming back from it, and it's not even interesting to try anymore.
What's so interesting about Margaret's language, the way she talks about this, is how she frames the emotional side of it. She claimed that Teresa doesn't clutter my head at all, which implies she's just, over it mentally.
But then she pairs that claim with this really sharp analysis that's designed to give her the upper hand. She said, "I might occupy a lot more space in their head than they occupy in mine."
That is not indifference.
No, it's not. That is a carefully crafted rhetorical move. It's designed to establish herself as the winner of that feud's narrative.
It's 100% a calculated power move. While the Gorgas and Giudices are trying to navigate this public truce, Margaret is just standing firm. It's a statement. It says, I don't need this drama to stay relevant, and my own peace of mind is way more important than some network-mandated reconciliation.
And she's extending this boundary setting to other people, too. It's not just Teresa.
No, she confirmed she's still estranged from Jackie Goldschneider. She put her in the, handled with grace, but no longer in rotation pile.
That systematic approach just confirms how deliberate Margaret is about her friendships and who she's choosing to bring with her into the next season of her life and the show.
But she is making an exception for Dolores Catania.
That's a key relationship.
A huge one. Margaret confirmed they are still super close, saying, Dolores, I talk to her almost every day.
And that's crucial because it shows she's not just cutting everyone out. She's actively curating her genuine friendships while at the same time maintaining her main source of conflict.
So what's the bigger implication here for RHOJ season 15, which is, currently on pause?
Well, if the Gorgas and Giudices actually manage to maintain this truce, Margaret's continued aggressive stance with Teresa guarantees that there is still a massive built-in conflict ready to go.
The center of gravity for the show's drama just shifts. It moves from the family unit over to the Margaret and Teresa rivalry.
And that guarantees her job security, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. By refusing to play along with the, love bubble thing that sometimes happens on these shows around the holidays, she makes sure she stays central to the story no matter what the other big players do.
It suggests that, for her, real peace is less valuable to her reputation and her professional story than maintaining a clear, reasoned boundary.
And that's a strategy that historically pays off. It gives you longevity in reality TV.
Totally. The risk of making up too early or too easily is that you become irrelevant. Margaret has staked her reputation on the authenticity of her boundaries.
And for the Bravo audience that values honesty and, strong opinions, that rigidity might actually be more compelling than a staged Christmas photo.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so Margaret is setting a personal boundary. But sometimes those boundaries, they become legal ones. Which brings us to this disappearing $11 million headache down in Miami. Let's pivot to the legal world and look at this huge lawsuit involving the Real Housewives of Miami that just went away.
We're talking about the lawsuit filed by Todd Napola, who is Alexia Napola's ex-husband.
And this wasn't a small thing. This lawsuit was a serious legal challenge for Bravo, for NBC Universal, and for the production company, purveyors of pop.
Todd Napola filed it based on the claim that they used his likeness without his consent, and this is the critical part, that the show's portrayal made him look financially irresponsible.
And that's where reality show drama meets real-world consequences.
Big time. The source of that alleged defamation mostly came from comments made by Adriana de Mora.
Right. She was suggesting that his businesses were in trouble, that he had to downsize his apartment.
It's the kind of rumor that the network loves. It's high drama. But when that drama causes real financial or reputational damage, the star's comments suddenly become a legal liability for the entire production.
So the key development here, and what makes this so significant for the whole industry, is that the lawsuit was dismissed.
Right, but it's how it was dismissed that matters. The critical legal term here is with prejudice.
Okay, so let's break that down for everyone. If a case is dismissed without prejudice, the plaintiff, in this case Todd Napola, could theoretically just fix his paperwork, get more evidence, and sue again later. But dismissal with prejudice, that means that specific case is permanently closed. He cannot sue Bravo or NBC Universal or the production company over the same accusations ever again.
Which is a massive legal win for the network.
A huge win.
It implies one of two things, and both of them are really good for Bravo. Either Todd Napola realized his claim just wasn't strong enough to win in court, or, and this is far more likely, a confidential settlement was reached out of court.
Right.
And if a settlement was made, getting that dismissal with prejudice was the #1 goal for the network. It means they basically paid to shut the door forever and eliminate the risk of this coming back.
And the cost of that potential settlement sets a really powerful precedent. You have to wonder, did Bravo pay out millions just to quiet down one disgruntled ex-husband?
Well, if they did, it suggests the network is willing to make these big, quiet financial sacrifices to protect their control over the story and, avoid a potentially damaging public discovery process.
Which could reveal how the sausage is made, their internal filming processes.
Exactly. For a network that deals with lawsuits all the time, securing that kind of finality is a major operational win.
It also gives us some context for Alexia's personal life update. While all this drama was playing out on TV, their divorce was actually finalized. And Alexia recently said that they're now on speaking terms and in a good place.
And she made sure to emphasize that the show only captures a tiny fraction of their story, and a lot has happened since that stuff was filmed, over a year and a half ago.
That time delay is so important. It lets her claim the show isn't really representative of their current, friendly reality.
It softens the on-air portrayal and makes the whole legal dismissal easier for the public to swallow.
It's a reminder that we're always watching the past on these shows. The legal battles often get resolved long after the accusations first air.
Which forces the stars to navigate these two different timelines at once.
Okay, so moving from legal battles over likeness to political battles over allegiance, we're shifting to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yes, and this next data point involves Sean Trujillo, who is Angie Katzenebas's husband. He's been facing some intense scrutiny on social media over his Instagram following list.
And this is a perfect example of how the audience now treats every single part of a reality star's life. I mean, right down to who they follow as part of their public story.
Social media users started questioning Sean's political views after they noticed he followed several figures who are often associated with conservative politics or commentary.
The list of follows mentioned in the source material is very specific. We're talking Joe Rogan, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Senator John Kennedy,
Dana White, Laura Trump, and the late Charlie Kirk and his widow, Erika Kirk.
So that collection of names, when you put them all together, it certainly gives people enough data points to build a narrative about his political leanings.
Especially in today's, very polarized social climate.
Sean, though, he came out swinging. He insisted he's not far-right and called all the accusations nonsense.
And he defended his approach as just being curious, saying his views are more centrist.
His defense was a classic counter-argument to this kind of social media microscope. He's basically saying you're only looking at one side of the story.
Exactly. He pointed out, and it's a fair point, that people are only focusing on the follows they want to see.
And they're ignoring that he also follows established news outlets and commentators from across the spectrum. He specifically mentioned CNN, Anderson Cooper, Van Jones, and Bill Maher.
This really speaks to the intense pressure reality stars are under to curate an image that fits a specific and often expected political box.
Sean said it perfectly. He talked about cancel culture and said that his biggest challenge is that everyone thinks they should think like them or get canceled.
And he didn't just offer political counter-evidence, he offered character evidence.
Right. He emphasized that he has tremendous support for the LGBTQ community, that he believes strongly in diversity.
He's actively trying to separate his public image from this political label that the audience just slapped on him based on a few Instagram follows.
He also brought up a really important nuance about how we all use social media now, something that gets completely lost in these digital pile-ons. He noted that he might just hit a like on a friend's post to be supportive of a friend, not necessarily with the content.
And that's such a normal human social thing to do. You're supporting a friend. But in the reality TV world, it's instantly turned into this big statement of political allegiance.
It's incredibly difficult to maintain a centrist or apolitical position in an environment that just demands you pick a side.
Right, and Sean's defense really shows how easily the public just defaults to simple labels, often ignoring the complexity of it all.
And that idea of personal life crossing over into public scrutiny brings us perfectly to Erika Jayne defending Kyle Richards on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Erika's analysis of the new season 15 was fascinating, but her really fierce defense of Kyle's decision to keep parts of her life private is so insightful.
Especially given Erika's own history, right? I mean, she was legally forced to be silent about her own life for years.
Exactly. So Kyle recently admitted on an episode that she fell hard for someone who is allegedly Morgan Wade after she separated from Mauricio Umansky.
This revelation, which the press has been speculating about for a long time, was a huge moment of vulnerability and a big boundary cross for Kyle.
And Erika recognized how serious that step was. She said she knows how hard it's been for Kyle and thought her decision to finally speak up was very brave.
But the core of Erika's defense was about the limits of transparency, even on a show like RHOBH.
The defense is all about the people who didn't sign the contract. Erika stressed that while the stars sign up for the show, she said, there are other people involved here. They're not on this show, and I think sometimes the viewers forget that.
And that is the paradox of the reality star contract, isn't it?
It is. Viewers feel entitled to every single detail of a star's life because they signed on the dotted line.
But Erika is correctly pointing out that a star's life is connected to all these other people. She drove the point home. We have lives that include other people, and that doesn't necessarily mean including them on the show.
It forces you, as a viewer, to really consider the moral boundary between the celebrity who volunteers for the camera and their loved ones, whether it's a new partner or an estranged husband, who are suddenly in the spotlight without their consent.
Right. And Erika also took a quick moment to reiterate her commitment to her core audience, saying, it's always for the gays.
And that little detail just reminds us that even when she's defending privacy and boundaries, Erika is always acutely aware of who she's performing for. She's catering to their ongoing support.
It shows the complex calculus behind every single public statement these people make.
It's a really important and necessary conversation for a genre that's built on the idea of removing the fourth wall completely.
Okay, let's stick with Beverly Hills for a minute, because Erika Jayne also offered some veteran insight into the new energy of season 15 and the pressure facing the rookies.
Yeah, the cast shakeup introduced Amanda Francis, and then Rachel Zoe came in as a friend who already had some ties to the group.
And Erika's analysis of Amanda Francis was incredibly direct. It sounded like a warning, really. She claimed that Amanda quickly pisses everyone off because she has so many opinions.
That seems like a classic newbie mistake, doesn't it? Especially when you're walking into a long-established, very tight-knit, and frankly, vicious group of women.
You're trying to prove you belong, but you overdo it with the criticism. Erika noted that this kind of rapid alienation can be a problem for the show if a newcomer starts off just burning every bridge before they're even halfway through filming.
It speaks directly to that delicate balance a rookie needs. You have to be opinionated, you have to be willing to engage, you have to shake things up to justify your spot. But you absolutely cannot alienate the veterans who control the narrative, who control the seating arrangements, and who ultimately control your paycheck through their influence with production.
And Erika's advice to new cast members was just so sharp and, clearly reflective of her own experience in that pressure cooker. She told them to have a strong point of view, don't be afraid to speak your mind, but then she added this crucial, cynical, and very realistic warning. Don't look for backup, because it's not coming.
That last part is golden advice. It suggests that the alliances you see forming on camera, the immediate group hug or the shared coffee date, are often just strategic and temporary.
A newcomer has to have the personal strength to withstand that collective pushback from the existing cast.
If you rely on someone to save you from a fight, they will almost always choose group loyalty and self-preservation over protecting the rookie. It's a survival guide for the Bravo jungle.
Okay, pivoting now to another relationship under the microscope. We have to talk about Summer House.
Season 10 is premiering soon.
It is. And the marriage of Kyle Cook and Amanda Batula is always under scrutiny. But the speculation really hit a fever pitch around the holidays.
So Kyle was celebrating Christmas in Stowe, Vermont, and he shared photos on Instagram with this big group of friends and family, the key detail. His wife, Amanda Batula, was nowhere to be seen in the photos he posted.
And that absence immediately created this intense fan frenzy on his post. The comments were just flooded with questions. Where's Amanda? And what are you doing here without Amanda?
It just shows you how invested the audience is in their story, especially the stability of their often very chaotic marriage.
The speculation got even wilder when Amanda herself commented on the post, asking in all caps, "Where's Amanda?"
And that specific self-aware move immediately signals that she knows what's going on, and she's maybe even playing into the audience's expectation for relationship drama.
One really savvy commenter even suggested that the whole absence was a deliberate marketing tactic. They alleged that Amanda was trying to drum up suspense for the new season.
And given that the show is about to premiere, keeping the state of their marriage a little bit mysterious serves a definite promotional purpose for a show that relies so heavily on their relationship drama.
And Amanda has been fighting to shut down rumors of a divorce that were flying around even before this Christmas post.
Right. At a recent event, she tried to downplay the seriousness of their constant fighting. She said that she and Kyle are always going through a difficult time and that them arguing is nothing new.
And she finished with the classic line, "Everything's fine."
Which is a classic reality star defense. You normalize the dysfunction to minimize the perceived threat of a breakup.
But the most specific, and I think illustrative defense she gave was about the rumor that she doesn't wear her wedding ring.
A detail that often serves as tabloid proof of marital problems.
Exactly. And it forced her to reveal this really mundane personal habit.
She basically said the ring's absence is a mix of hygiene and her AD.
Right. She explained that she takes it off when she washes her face so she doesn't scratch the diamonds, and then she often just forgets to put it back on because of her ADD.
Which leads directly and immediately to divorce speculation every single time she's seen without it.
It's a perfect example of reality star life. A totally non-dramatic, mundane habit washing your face combined with a personal quirk becomes instant, high-stakes tabloid news.
And it forces them to publicly defend their entire marriage based on finger jewelry just because the audience demands this constant visual proof of stability.
It shows how little context the audience needs to spin a whole narrative.
In the absence of a ring, the assumption is always an imminent divorce. The reality of, diamond maintenance or just being forgetful is completely ignored for the more dramatic story.
Okay, let's transition now to a totally new kind of boundary issue. This one involves network control and digital entrepreneurship with the reboot of Vanderpump Rules.
This is where the network's desire for control clashes directly with the star's independent ambitions.
So Vanderpump Rules came back for its 12th season with a whole new cast of S-servers under Lisa Vanderpump.
The new cast included some new names like Chris Hahn and Jason Cohen, who are cousins and notably don't actually work at SUR.
Along with Venus Binkley, Shane Davis, Angelica Jensen, and a bunch of others. The source material details this really explosive report, claiming that Bravo executives immediately told Chris Hahn and Jason Cohen to shut down their OnlyFans accounts.
And this reported demand speaks directly to that economic conflict we talked about earlier.
The insider report alleged there was a no-nonsense, no-nudes mandate in place. The claim was that Bravo wanted sexy, not scandal, and that the network execs were not prepared for the cousins' X-rated ambitions.
This raises a critical structural question about how reality fame gets monetized outside of the network's direct control.
These stars are becoming established brands overnight, and platforms like OnlyFans offer them immediate, very lucrative income that completely bypasses the network's own strategy.
The network is selling the stars' chaos and their attractiveness. When the stars can sell their own premium, more explicit content on a platform where they get a much higher cut.
It creates direct financial competition for Bravo.
And a loss of control. The report said that Jason Cohen has since deleted his content, but Chris Hahn is still active, even though he was strongly encouraged to rethink his digital footprint.
And a production source summed up the network's internal thinking perfectly. This is the thesis statement for this whole conflict. They want chaos on camera, not behind a paywall.
That quote is everything. Bravo needs the cast to be messy, sexy, and dramatic for their TV ratings and their Peacock subscribers.
But they absolutely do not want the cast members leveraging that same messiness and sexiness into a private subscription service that basically competes with the network's own exclusive content.
It's a battle over who controls the intellectual property of their bodies and their personal stories.
And we have to acknowledge the complex counter-narrative here. A Bravo rep stated that the claim that the cousins were urged to delete their accounts is not true.
But a countersource offered the more cynical and probably more accurate interpretation.
What do they say?
Bravo loves a shirtless moment. They just don't want to pay extra to see it.
That suggests the network is less worried about the morals of it and much more worried about the market share.
Exactly. And if the ratings for Vanderpump Rules Season 12 premiered with a series low down 80% from Season 11, even though it's apparently doing well on Peacock,
then Bravo has to be trying to make sure all the most compelling, boundary-pushing content stays exclusive to their platforms and their subscriptions.
not on some external individual one. It's the ultimate network balancing act. Encourage the cast to be provocative enough to make headlines for TV,
while also trying to cap their ability to profit from that same provocativeness outside the Bravo ecosystem. It's an attempt to control their stars' increasingly powerful digital footprint.
And finally, let's wrap this up with the Real Housewives of Potomac and Stacey Rush,
who is having a stellar second season and has been on a campaign to not just enter the narrative, but to actively call out the hypocrisy and boundary crossing of her veteran castmates.
Stacey was recently named Reality Star of the Year by Carlos King's podcast, and she was incredibly candid about her relationships and her very strong issues with the other women.
It's a classic rookie strategy, right? You establish your relevance through aggressive confrontation and strong moral judgments.
On the personal side, when she was asked about maybe dating Chris Samuels, she was very non-committal, which is a smart move to keep the story going.
She just said, "He's never said that, no," and then cleverly told the host to go ask Chris for an update.
She's leaving that ball in his court, keeping her own status very ambiguous.
Her main criticisms, though, were aimed squarely at Gisele Bryant, and she was focused heavily on that transparency issue that runs through this whole industry.
Stacey called Gisele out for not having a man on the show while it was being exposed that she was dating someone.
And then going and filming an entire dating show, The Love Hotel, while she was supposedly dating someone in the DMV area.
It's a deep dive into the ethics of reality TV presentation. Stacey is basically suggesting that Gisele is deliberately hiding her real life to create a manufactured storyline or to protect her actual partner.
She also criticized Gisele for not having her business partner, Robin Dixon, at her big party, and she connected it to how Stacey herself was treated at that event.
But Stacey saved her strongest condemnation for Ashley Darby.
Oh, yeah. The source material details Stacey strongly criticizing Ashley for hooking up with Teresa's son. Stacey said she almost threw up when Ashley admitted that.
And she asked rhetorically, "Are the pickings so slim?"
That is an incredibly harsh moral judgment, but it's one that probably resonates with a lot of viewers who expect some lines not to be crossed, even on reality TV.
Stacey emphasized a very clear generational boundary. She said, "Once you're a child of my friend, you're a child forever. What are you doing?"
She said she would have taken that to my grave, questioning not just the judgment of doing it, but crucially, the ethics of then bringing that secret onto the show.
And Stacey also addressed her ongoing friction with Kiarna Stewart, or Kay, who called Stacey performative.
Stacey's counter was that she's just reactive because Kay has come for her over and over, thinking she was an easy target.
Her final clapback was just definitive, classic newcomer confidence. Don't be mad because I'm doing me better than you're doing you.
She definitely projects confidence in her own relationship choices, which she grounds in her own history. Being married for years, divorced, and then getting back together with her ex-husband.
That's her foundation for giving out relationship advice.
So when she was asked if Greg Diggs will ever propose to Kay, Stacey was non-committal, saying, I don't know.
But she offered this really profound piece of wisdom from her own complicated marital history. You want your partner to want you.
And that simple wisdom connects directly to Kay, joking to fans that picture frames make great gifts, after Greg gave her one instead of an engagement ring.
Stacey's comment suggests that that playful joke might be hiding a much more serious anxiety about commitment.
A dynamic she clearly recognizes from her own past and which she is now using to critique her fellow castmate.
Stacey Rush, across all these confrontations, is the perfect example of the newcomer strategy. Establish your presence by being extremely reactive and judgmental of the veterans. It solidifies your own central role in the show.
Wow. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, analyzing how the professional contract of a reality star is just constantly being redefined.
If we synthesize the key takeaways from all these sources, a few big themes about boundaries, control, and privacy really emerge.
First, the implied contract of a reality star is always being rewritten, either in courtrooms or in social media comments.
We saw how hard it is to maintain personal boundaries when the public demands so much. Whether it's the intense scrutiny of an Instagram follow list, the $11 million liability from gossip,
Or the intense pressure on Kyle and Amanda's marriage to prove its stability with just one photo.
Second, the high stakes of digital content are dominating everything. That tension between Bravo's need for chaos on camera and the cast's need for income behind a paywall, like with the Vanderpump cousins.
It shows the network is actively trying to manage their stars' digital lives, which leads to these corporate denials and cynical countersources.
The battle over who profits from a star's image is the new frontier.
And finally, we saw how narrative control works through both conflict and truce. The surprising ability of these long-held feuds to thaw, even for a moment, like with the Gorga Giudice holiday picture.
It shows that stars will sometimes choose narrative stability.
But that thaw only highlighted how rigid other feuds are, like Margaret Josephs' unyielding position against Teresa. It proves some boundaries are just frozen solid.
Which preserves future conflict and ensures job security.
All of these sources, they really seem to converge on Erika Jayne's defense of Kyle Richards' privacy.
Right, which she grounded in the fact that the cast has lives that include other people who didn't sign up for the show.
And this raises a critical and I think provocative question for you, the listener, to think about long after this deep dive is over.
When a reality show is built entirely on transparency, on the idea of showing it all, as so many of them claim to be,
is it truly possible for a long-standing veteran cast member like Kyle Richards to selectively guard significant, deeply personal parts of her life indefinitely?
Or does the audience's overwhelming demand for the full story eventually force that star to either fully reveal those secrets or face intense pressure to just leave the show entirely?
That dynamic, that moral contract or maybe moral debt between the star and the viewer is what continues to drive this whole industry forward, and it's always changing.
Thank you for joining us for this extensive deep dive into the latest updates from the reality TV universe. We'll see you next time as we continue to unpack the nuanced narratives that shape our favorite shows.